Greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome to the best damn movie-related show on the planet Earth, the John Campea Show, coming to you from right here on my YouTube channel. I'm, of course, your host, John Campea. It's an awesome honor and privilege, as it is every day, to have you guys joining me, my international friends, as we gather around the virtual water cooler and talk about our favorite things in the world, movies and movie news and all that sorts of good stuff. And you can't have all sorts of good stuff and not also be talking about Mr. Robert Meyer Burnett. Robert, how you doing, sir?
John, my excitement. I don't know if I can talk today.
It might be a very special week. Also joining us, of course, is Ashley Whalen. Ashley, how are you?
You know, guys, I'm just okay. I missed Game of Thrones last night, so no spoilers out there. I was with my family all night, and they don't watch Game of Thrones, so I don't know if I can call them my family, but yes.
Yeah, the family constantly gets in the way of the fun in our lives. That is for certain. Guys, we got a whole bunch of things that we need to talk about here today. Guinness Book of World Records being broken, all sorts of good stuff. But we're going to start off talking about this, guys. It is Monday, April the 22nd. It is Avengers Endgame release week. This week, all across the world, Avengers Endgame releases, and the 24th, which really means the 23rd. For a lot of people around the world, tomorrow night is going to be the first screenings they're going to have here. Thursday night is going to be the first screenings. The world premiere is tonight, and I'm going to be there, so I'm going to be able to share my social media quick thoughts about the movie as soon as I get out of the movie tonight. It's an exciting time. I am so Ghibli. I am so Ghibli at this point. I cannot wait. Ann and I, we've already got our outfits all picked out. Ann's going and getting her hair done just because she likes doing that sort of things on the nights that we're going out. We got, they even arranged for a limo to come get us and all that kind of stuff. So we're all excited. It's going to be a lot of fun tonight. But I wanted to let you guys know about something. You guys can watch the red carpet stream. And here's why I'm telling you about this. So Marvel is going to live stream their red carpet tonight of the Avengers Endgame world premiere. Live stream starts at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That's 4:30 p.m. here in California. And you can watch it simply at marvel.com/endgame premiere. Now, the only reason why this should be of any interest to anybody is because I'm going to do a little bit of a giveaway today. So obviously Ann and I are going to be down there. So here's what I'm going to do. I often have a bunch of you guys send me screen captures when you see us on the live streams of different events. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take the first 5 people that get a screen grab of Ann and I at the premiere tonight. If you're watching that stream tonight and you see Ann and I get a screen grab, the first 5 people that send them in, I'm going to pick one of those 5 at random, and I'm going to send you both a John Campea Show t-shirt, a Bring on the Filthy t-shirt, and a John Campea Show coffee mug. So I know, right? How good can this day be? I mean, it's like Thanos hot toy, John Campea Show coffee mug. I mean, it's a hard thing to decide, but that's what you get. So get that. Get those screen captures, email them to me at john@thejohncampeashow.com. That's john@thejohncampeashow.com. And I'll pick one at random out of the first 5 that get sent in, and you'll win a little bit of John Campea Show swag. So that should be exciting. Anyway, though, guys, it is Avengers Endgame week. It's here. It feels like we've been talking about this forever. It feels like it's so weird that it makes it even feel odd that Infinity War was just a year ago. I mean, it's hard to imagine that Infinity War was just a year ago. And yet here we are, that little magic word that I made up, the tangibilization of Avengers Endgame. It's not off in the future somewhere. It is now. World premieres tonight. People are going to start seeing it around the world tomorrow. It's actually here. Rob, when you think about movie events, and I think it's fair to say that this is a movie event. Where does this rank for you? Like when you're talking about movies that you've really had lots of anticipation for and looking forward to, how does this measure up for you?
Honestly, it's number 2. In my entire life, it's number 2 behind The Empire Strikes Back. I cannot tell you, I mean, Star Wars, as it did for so many people, changed my life. And the idea that we were going to get a second one, I mean, it's hard to imagine, but when the second one came out, I was dubious. I'm like, come on, this can't be as good as Star Wars. I mean, what if they messed it up? They had different effects people like Brian Johnson, who came over from doing things like Space 1999, was the effects supervisor. It wasn't John Dykstra anymore. And I'm like, is this going to be as good? But still, I was deliriously excited. I bought the record album, the double disc RSO soundtrack album before I'd seen the movie. So I'd played the Imperial March like 187,000 times. I mean, it was like, this is the greatest piece of music ever written. Where does it show up in the movie? Like, and the anticipation, but this is close. This is close. I'm much older and jaded, and life is supposed to have beaten me down and stolen my inner child and turned me into somebody that was just grizzled and didn't have joy in his heart anymore. But that isn't true, John. That isn't true. I am so excited to see this movie. I am Ghibli, John. My innards are just, they're vibrating. My anticipation.
I don't want to hear about your vibrating Ghiblis. just me. So, but anyway,
they're there though. They're there. They've been in a constant state of Ghibli-nish for a long time.
Ashley, I mean, as a film fan, like, how many times have we seen not even just an event, like something momentous, something where like the entire imagination of the pop culture gets kind of captured and surrounding like a recent movie? How many times do you can you count in your lifetime of being a film fan when you've seen something like this happening?
It's really rare. I mean, probably only a handful of times. Like, I know that I was more excited for Star Wars, I think Force Awakens, than anything else. Maybe I was just extremely excited for that. Like, the anticipation was really high for me going into that. And I think, that was probably like the biggest for me. I was so excited to see that movie. But yeah, there's only a couple events in film history, I feel like, that has this amount of like power behind it. It's like a tsunami, I feel like, of fans right now.
Yeah, I think for me, it was like the Phantom Menace coming. I mean, the Star Wars was back when we thought there would never be Star Wars again. Mm-hmm. The Force Awakens, same thing. Star Wars was back when we thought there would never be Star Wars again. Infinity War was certainly big. There was a lot of hype and anticipation going into Infinity War. Mm-hmm. And because of Infinity War, it even that anticipation level seems, especially amongst the fans, seems even a little bit more hype now than ever before. And it's going to be really interesting. Like, I think at this point, it's a foregone conclusion. This thing's going to break the opening weekend box office record. The question now is, does it actually get to 300 million? And, I did some math breakdown the other day, and it is going to be tough. It's going to be tough to get to 300 million when you actually do the math and look at number of screenings, number of seats, number of tickets, average ticket price. It's like they've got like 50 million to make up, and that translate. It's going to be tough, but it's the first. There was a point when I didn't even think 300 million was even a remote possibility. And while I still don't think it's going to hit 300 million, it's hard to deny that it's a distinct possibility. I mean, it really could happen. We could wake up this coming Sunday morning and see that number. But regardless, it's going to be massive. I mean, it's going to be absolutely a madhouse. I know I'm going to go down on the opening night, even before my Thursday night screenings, and I'm just going to hang out around the movie theater just to soak in that energy and soak in the anticipation, the excitement of everybody. It's going to be absolutely nuts. It's going to be absolutely nuts. All right.
So exciting.
It's so exciting. And guys, we do have a couple of topics to talk about here today revolving around Avengers Endgame. But before we get to that stuff, I also want to talk about this. There's another highly anticipated movie coming out this year that is going to easily join the $1 billion club, might even threaten the $2 billion club if it's any good. And that is, of course, The Lion King. So The Lion King is coming. Now, one of the things that some people have been saying, ridiculously so in my opinion, was... Why is anybody excited about Lion King? We've seen Lion King, 1994. It's just the same thing, right? Of course, you say, yeah, but couldn't you said that about Jungle Book? And we all loved the new Jungle Book. But anyway, there's still people, blah, blah, blah. Well, John Favreau came out and made a comment the other day that I thought was really quite interesting. Now, first of all, one of the presidents of Disney Motion Pictures was saying that we do a lot of new stuff in this Lion King movie. Like, yes, there are beloved classic scenes, and a lot of them, you're going to love it. But said the president of the company, there's also a lot of stuff in there you're not expecting. And then John Favreau came out with this comment. And John Favreau said the following. He said, the original holds up incredibly well. So the challenge here was to tell a story in a different way, but still deliver on people's expectations while surprising them somehow. And he went on to talk about how he really feels that this movie they've put together in The Lion King is going to surprise audiences. Rob, I've been a little bit torn because there's a part of me that is like, I love Lion King so much. You do a shot-for-shot remake in a new gorgeous visual medium that I haven't seen in before, and you go shot for shot, I'm perfectly happy. At the same time, change it up a bit, throw in some new stuff, I'm perfectly happy. So hearing Favreau say this, I don't mind. It doesn't bother me at all. I'm excited about it, but I'm still not sure if I want... You got half the people out there, Rob, screaming for a completely faithful shot-by-shot remake of the original. You got a bunch of people screaming, no, we want something new, something different. Seems like Favreau is saying we're going to walk the line between that a little bit and mix it up. What do you make of his comments, and how do you react to them?
Well, I think that when you tell or retell a story, I mean, the great look at how Shakespeare's stories have been retold and reinterpreted over the years. Like, I loved Baz Luhrmann's Romeo and Juliet. It was like the Blade Runner version of Romeo and Juliet.
It really was.
And they shot it in Mexico, and I love the film, but it was the story of Romeo and Juliet. Now, I'm not saying, obviously, from what we've seen, this is not some ground up reinterpretation of The Lion King. But right. I think that perhaps tweaking the story, changing it around to suit both the cast and what John Favreau wants to do, as long as the essence of Lion King is sort of retained, and we get that the overall story is such a mythic story, the same way that a lot of, like, Shakespeare's stories are mythic and they transcend time. I think we're still getting The Lion King. It's still set in Africa. It's still got the same characters. I think changing up the plot, making it a little different, might be interesting. Might how they're going to update it. It excites me because I just don't want to see a complete just transferring over the original animated version. And I thought the Jungle Book did a good job of, it wasn't exactly the same. The characters were a little updated. Christopher Walken certainly was amazing. And this,
yes.
the set pieces and the things that they did modernized the story, but retained the essence. And I think that we're going to get that with this. And I'm not worried in the least. I mean, look, I'm a guy, I love the stage show. I thought that was great.
I love the stage show too. I thought the stage show was brilliant.
It was dope. I mean, Julie Taymor did it. My mind was blown watching that thing. And all the animals marched down the alleyway, the aisles.
Come down the aisles beside the audience and everything. That was
awesome.
Great. Ashley is somebody who's grown up like the rest of us, just, watching and appreciating Lion King. Like, what are you hoping to see when it comes to that line between something faithful to the original versus something new? What are you going into it kind of hoping for?
I don't know. I'm torn too. I didn't even think that it was going to change at all. I was thinking it would just be shot for shot. But now this news has dropped. I'm like, I don't know. I think the original was so great. I'm excited to see what they do with it because, they did a great job with Jungle Book, changing it a little bit. But hopefully, as Rob was saying, if the essence is still there and all the characters are intact, then if they just, narrowly switch it around a little bit, that's going to be good. But yeah, I mean, it looks so beautiful and so cool that I don't even care if it's shot for shot. So I guess we'll just have to see.
Well, what do you guys think? Are you guys wanting to see something like more completely faithful to the original? Do you want to see them mix it up a little bit? Jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys, with that stuff down and out of the way, it's time for us to get to our main topics today. And how do we select our main topics here on the John Campea Show? Well, it's really rather simple. You see, you guys pick them by sending us your topics and questions by going to the website www.thejohncampeashow.com/contact. Once you're there, you're going to see a form. Fill it on out, submit it, and maybe, just maybe, you'll see your topic or question as the main topic here on the John Campea Show. So with that down and out of the way, Ashley, what is our first main topic today?
All right, first one up is from Darius K. Greetings, guys. Well, it looks like it happened. Captain Marvel jumped back into the top 5 at the box office, which I guess means when Endgame opens, we're actually going to have 4 comic book movies in theaters at once. Anything particularly surprises you about the box office this weekend?
Yeah, well, first of all, something ridiculous did happen at the box office, which you don't see often. It's not often. It happens once in a while where something will jump a spot, even though it was, usually a movie comes out, and as the weeks progress, it starts to drop further and further and further down. Every once in a while, it'll jump up a spot. Captain Marvel last week, after umpteen weeks, had dropped out of the top 5 down to number 6. This week, it jumped 2 spots and came back into the top 5 at number 4. It actually, and we're used to seeing what happens with movies is their box office drops about 50% every week, right? Captain Marvel's box office from last week to this week went up almost 6%, crossing the $400 million domestic line. It looks like it will cross that $1.1 billion line in the $1 billion club. This thing just keeps going. Now, I'm sure Endgame and the enthusiasm for Endgame probably got a few more people going, I should go check out that Captain Marvel I haven't watched yet since it's going into the new movie. And so maybe some of them are going in for that. But yeah, this is not very usual when you see something in like its 7th week going up in box office and then jumping up a couple spots, getting back in the top 5. Doesn't happen very often. Shazam also only takes a 29% drop from last week to this week, from week 2 to week 3. It's now around the $320-something million range, and that's safely into the profitability territory. So good for Warner Brothers and good for DC. The Curse of La Llorona came in better than I thought. I thought it would come in around 20 million. Actually came in at 26.5, which is great. Breakthrough came in at 11.1, and of course, Little rounded out, coming in at $8.4 million. So the big surprise here, of course, and the thing that I think is the main story here for us to talk about, is actually the fact that Captain Marvel, this resurgence in interest in Captain Marvel, continuing its incredible story of success, way beyond what I thought it was going to do, and way beyond what a lot of people thought it was going to do. Rob, you're looking at a couple things here. It crosses 400 million. It goes up almost 6% in box office from week like 6 to 7. It gets back into the top 5 in a number 4. Which of those things stands out to you the most, and what do you attribute that to?
Well, nothing about this movie really has surprised me. It's followed what Black Panther did, which was sort of the lead up to Infinity War. I mean, as I've always said, it's a movie that certainly captured the female audience and me too. I mean, I think a lot of people, obviously the worldwide theater going audience, really loved it. I think that the anticipation, what a great little appetizer to go see Captain Marvel before going into Endgame week. I think it's great that it's still in the theaters. I think Marvel has really hit on something with this release strategy, following up one movie with another. I mean, we've still got Captain Marvel's in the top 5 domestically. I mean, that's crazy, but it's a testament, I think, to Marvel as a studio and what they're able to achieve in terms of the fan base. I mean, if nothing else, isn't it great that there is a company that's looking to achieve worldwide profitability, and their sole desire is to put smiles on our faces? I mean, I think that's pretty great. I really like that that's where we're at with this franchise.
And I think they've understood there's a connection between that. If you put smiles on the audience's faces and give them an enjoyable experience, you will make money. And so it's like some people think there's this divorce between making good movies or making money. No, one is intrinsically connected to the other. The better you make a movie, the more money you'll make. Now, we've seen bad movies make money, but if they had been good, they would have made even more. And we see Marvel has figured that out, and they're hitting that. And it's a really impressive feat for them on all fronts. So let's see how it stands up. I got a feeling it's going to take a big drop, though, once Endgame actually hits theaters. I think once Endgame, but what a run. It's going to cross 1.1 billion. It's crossed 400 million domestically. It's just nuts. And even the most optimistic people like myself didn't think it would get that high. So congratulations to them and everybody involved. All right. With that down and out of the way, Ashley, what is our next main topic today?
Next one up is Ewan McAllister. So I read somewhere that Disney is going to be re-editing their animated films for Disney Plus, specifically removing any radical, ethnic, offensive content from them, like the crows from Dumbo. My question is, why do this? I understand Disney doesn't want to represent this stuff in today's society, but removing content that's actually a core part of the film isn't right. Why don't they just WB Looney Tunes go the WB Looney Tunes route and have a banner come up explaining that these are the products of their time?
All right, so not surprisingly, and we were kind of expecting this, we've talked about this a few times over the last couple of months, is, when Disney Plus comes out, what are they going to do with material like Song of the South? What are they going to do with, the original animated Dumbo with the crows? That, understandably so, to a number of people, is quite offensive. What are they going to do to approach this? Now, I've said this whole time, Rob, I said there is no way they're going to put Song of the South on Disney Plus. There's just no way. They're not going to do that. Bob Iger, his one main guiding North Star with every decision he makes, and we've seen this come up with how he's going to handle Deadpool and everything else too, is my audience comes first. My customers come first. We have seen that with Bob Iger over and over again, protecting and maintaining the trust and relationship between his company and his company's customers. That's always been Bob Iger's guiding North Star. Doesn't mean he always makes the right decisions, but whenever he makes decisions, you always know whatever is going to be the option that greater protects the relationship between his company and his customers, that's the decision he's going to make. So hearing that they've opted, or that they're probably not going to be putting Song of the South on there, not a big surprise. And I'll be quite frank with you. The idea and the notion now that they're probably going to edit out some of the content from the original Dumbo, also not a surprise. This doesn't surprise me at all that he would go this route. Now, for some of you asking, what was he talking about in the message there about a one WB screen? Well, on some things like Tom and Jerry, which in their history, their great, wonderful history, hey, they've done some really racially insensitive stuff in there too, as a product of the times. Warner Brothers, for on stuff like that, they have sometimes put up this warning screen, a very well thought out, very well written warning screen that says this: the cartoons you are about to see are products of their time. They may depict some of the ethnic and racial prejudices that were commonplace in American society. These depictions were wrong then and are wrong today. While the following does not represent the Warner Brothers view of today's society, these cartoons are being presented as they were originally created, because to do otherwise would be the same as claiming that these prejudices never existed at all. So there is that whole notion that they could be, what's the best way to say it? They could be looking at a notion of, it's an interesting scenario that they find themselves in. It's an interesting scenario that they find themselves in. Do you go the one route? Do you not go that one route? Do you put in just a warning and keep the original content? Do you just play it more safe and just take it out altogether? I'm going to tell you what I think about this. And we see from here that Rob got disconnected from us, but I'm going to re-add Rob here right now. We see situations like this where there's going to be two very strong and different points of view to be had. One point of view, obviously, is going to be you should not mess with what has been done before. You shouldn't mess with the way they did things. They are what they are. They were presented the way they were presented at the time. It is best just to leave them as such. And that is certainly one way of looking at stuff like that. That is certainly one way to approach it. That is certainly one way to do it. But I'm going to tell you what. I believe that what they did here, and Rob, by the way, can you hear me now? Oh, but I don't have Rob in the microphone. So give me 1 second here, guys. I'm going to get Rob back in here and get his audio added here. And Rob, can you hear me now?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so Rob is back. There we go. Good to have you back, Rob.
I thought I was banished to the Phantom Zone.
So what we're left with now is this decision that a Bob Iger has to make. And this is one of those situations, Rob, where I can see both sides to the argument. I really can. About the whole notion. I think that Warner Brothers warning screen is a very thoughtful, well thought out, well presented statement to say before something like that. I think that's beautifully put together. At the same time, I can see where a Bob Iger would want to look at something like, regardless if we put up some kind of warning screen, this is going to offend some of our customers. And you don't say to your customers, you shouldn't be offended. No, they're your customers, and if they're offended, they're offended. And do you want to watch? And here's the thing. If you're Bob Iger, do you want to launch Disney Plus under celebrations and confetti and everybody talking about The Mandalorian and everybody talking about Star Wars all coming together on the roof and talking about the upcoming new Marvel things and talking about the $7 a month price plan? Or do you want to launch Disney Plus and going, Disney's leaving in those racist crows. Disney's going to be putting up songs. If you're Bob Iger, what do you want the narrative to be? And understanding that Bob Iger's position has always been cultivating that relationship between his company and his customers. Number one, it doesn't surprise me. I'm going to tell you what else, Rob. I endorse this decision. Now, I would have totally been fine if they decided to take like a Warner Brothers route, really over-communicated it to the audience, really put up all these disclaimers and all that kind of stuff. I would have been cool with that. I would have been cool with it. But I think the reality is you can do that till the cows come home. If they don't make a move like this now, then when Disney Plus launches, the narrative isn't just going to be about celebration, confetti, Star Wars, Marvel. It's going to be about what they did put in. And that's going to dominate the news cycle. And that's going to have a lot of people talking. And I get it. It's a tough situation. So, Rob, I think there's a lot of merit on both sides of this. I'm curious to know your thought. Number one, what would you do? Let me rephrase that. Number one, does this move by a Disney and Bob Iger in particular surprise you, or does it make sense to you? And then number two, if you were in that position, how would you approach it? I don't honestly know what the 100% right answer is. So what do you think?
Well, like you pointed out, I think obviously they want to start this streaming service celebrating what is great about it. And on the other hand, as we've seen, we live in an era where people are very quick to judge and very quick to get angry. And most people aren't aware of history. I mean, Dumbo is a film that's one of the oldest animated features in Disney's catalog. You've got Snow White, you've got Pinocchio, and you can go all the way back to Dumbo as well. And people don't understand just how old the movie is. They've got a new Dumbo in the theaters right now. And you're going to have a whole new generation of kids that have never seen Dumbo, and the first time they're going to see it is on this Disney streaming service. And I think he's making the right choice. Now, that said, I don't believe in censorship in any way, shape, or form, but I think they start this way, and maybe later they can add an unaltered version of Dumbo with a card on it, and maybe show it, occasionally, and contextualize it. Have somebody introduce it, whether it's a movie pundit, a famous movie reviewer like a Leonard Maltin or somebody else, and contextualize the film and show it unaltered. They still have the unaltered version, but I think to start with, they really need to think about their customers. They need to think about the world that we live in today, and the fact that a lot of people, there are going to be people that watch Dumbo and think it was made last week. They're just you can't expect people to know their film history. They just don't. And we live in a world now, if you're a kid, let's say you don't know. You're a kid, you start watching this, and what if the crows were your favorite characters in Dumbo, and you go to school and you start spouting off their dialogue, and people are going to be like, wait, what? What are you saying? And we live in a time where we need to be a little bit more sensitive. We're in an evolutionary period in our pop culture and our cultural history where a lot of people that were marginalized are getting a voice that they've never had before. And some people are overcompensating with that voice, and some people are being overprotective. And it'll take a while, but it'll eventually shake out. Cooler heads will prevail. Our history will be preserved. We will be less quick to be on a hair trigger to get angry or to get offended. But at this point in time, at this juncture, why not err on the side of caution and make sure that it is celebratory? And it's not like these things are going away, and Warner Brothers had to make a lot of choices and decisions before they put up that disclaimer. It's a great disclaimer. And again, we're talking about a lot of those movies were propaganda films from World War II. Disney did the same thing. But, Dumbo, people don't quite understand. Like, what? This is a kid's movie? It's almost like, look, if they take out the Siamese cats and Lady and the Tramp, I might get really upset. But because Lady and the Tramp's my jam. But, until that point, I think it's a good decision.
I can already hear some people screaming, censorship is bad.
It is bad.
Guys, yeah. But get an understanding of what censorship actually is. Censorship is when you are not permitted to see something that you choose to see, or you are not permitted to present something the way you want to present it. That's censorship. If if Universal was going to put something on Disney Plus, and it was one of their movies, and Disney said, okay, we'll do that, but we think that scene where the T-Rex in Jurassic Park blows away the outhouse and eats the guy as he's sitting on the toilet, we think that's a little bit traumatic. We're going to cut that scene out of your movie. That's censorship. Dumbo belongs to Disney. Dumbo belongs to Disney. It's theirs. And if we're saying that censorship is either not being permitted to see something that you want to see, or not being able to present something that is yours the way you want to present it, then this is not censorship. This is their own material. They can do whatever they want with it. This isn't, if this was a situation of them taking somebody else's material and then, maligning it or tearing it apart or breaking it down or cutting things out, that becomes censorship. But Disney making a decision about a Disney movie and what they want to do, it's no more censorship than what George Lucas did to the original Star Wars trilogy. And none of us like what George Lucas did to the original Star Wars trilogy with the special editions, but none of us call it censorship because it's his. It belongs to him. He can present it however he wants to present it. So I think this is an interesting discussion and debate to have, but leave the censorship element out of it, folks. This isn't some big brother taking other people's material and tearing it apart and saying, you're not allowed to show this to other people. This is, hey, this movie is ours. It belongs to us. How we want to present it and in which manner we want to present it and in which form we want to present it is totally up to us. It's our call. It's our movie. If they want to do that, that's fine.
I also think it's the audience that also has to be taken into consideration. Like,
oh, absolutely.
The Warner Brothers, when they put out their World War II propaganda films, it's not like kids are going to be casually watching World War II propaganda animated films from the 40s. And Dumbo is this timeless classic. When you're a kid and you're watching it, you're not aware of when it came out. You're just watching it as another Disney animated feature. And kids, it's the child audience that we have to be. Look, I believe that, yes, in a perfect world, I would like to sit down and educate young kids about watching Dumbo. That would be great. But we don't live in that world. And we have to be mindful of what you're showing to children. And look, I'm the first guy that loves sex, violence, horrific stuff. But kids don't get that. Kids don't understand. They're watching these things without context. They don't understand what they're seeing. They don't understand history. And, again, Disney can show Dumbo in an unexpurgated version later or announce that they're doing it when there is context to be provided. But if it's on their streaming service to be watched anytime by anyone, whenever they want to watch, you really have to be careful what kids have access to.
Yeah. And again, I think the main point here that people need to keep in mind is, look, as an Italian, white wasp that I am, there's nothing in Dumbo that's particularly offensive to me, but that's fine. But we have to be cognizant of the fact that there's going to be people who there are things that came out of that era that would be considered hurtful and offensive. And what I would argue with anybody who would scream and yell that you got to keep the crows in there, I'm going to ask them, is it really important? Or is it really that important that it's more important to you? Like, is the scene with the crows so vital that it is worth hurting people to have it in there? And I agree with you, Rob. I think there's going to come a time when we have more cultural context, when we are a more educated group of people, when our society has gotten to a certain point that we're going to be able to do that and it's going to be fine. But I think Bob Iger's right now. I think you nailed it on the head, Rob. I think he's got to think about his audience. He's got to think about his customers. And like I said earlier, he's got to think about what does he want the headline to be as Disney Plus launches? Does he want the headline to be everybody celebrates the triumph of Mandalorian? Or does he want the headlines to be people being hurt and offended by this and this being on their channel? And you just got to be careful about that. So I don't know. Again, though, I love Warner Brothers. This disclaimer screen by Warner Brothers, I don't know that anybody could have written this any better. Nope. I think it's perfectly written. I think it's great. So I totally see that approach as well. At the same time, I totally see Bob Iger's approach. So a lot of discussion to be had, and I'm sure we're going to be talking about this for many days to come. All right, Ashley, with that down and out of the way, what is our next main topic today?
Next one up is from Tucker Aaron Flynn. Kevin Feige said in an interview that Spider-Man Far From Home will end Phase 3, not begin Phase 4, as most were assuming. Does this suggest there will be a cliffhanger of sorts in Endgame that gets tied up in Far From Home, or simply just that Far From Home won't necessarily be setting up Phase 4 and will focus on its own story?
Rob, I was inundated, and you probably were too, with messages on social media, in chat boards, and everything, like freaking out. John, did you hear that Kevin Feige said that Endgame isn't actually the end of Phase 3? Spider-Man Far From Home is. What does that mean? I'll tell you what it means. Nothing. It means nothing. These Phase 1, Phase 2, Phase 3, these are arbitrary, false identifications we just kind of slap onto things to keep some things organized in our head. But in actuality, it plays no role in what's happening. Case in point, Rob. Let's go back to MCU Phase 2. Do you know what film ended Phase 2, technically speaking? Ant-Man.
Yeah,
it wasn't Avengers Age of Ultron. Avengers Age of Ultron was not the final film, technically speaking, in MCU Phase 2, which you would think that would make more sense, but Ant-Man, which had no connection to Age of Ultron, which had nothing connected to anything at all, it's just that this is the end of Phase 2. And now this next movie's the beginning of Phase 3. It's completely inconsequential. Do I think there's a possibility that we could be getting some sort of cliffhanger in Endgame that then gets resolved in Spider-Man Far From Home? No, at least not outside of the general context of Spider-Man Far From Home is what happens next. I mean, Endgame ends, the next chapter in the story is Far From Home, so it is a continuation in that sense. But like some big thing where Spider-Man has to finish off Thanos at the beginning of Spider-Man Far From Home, I don't think that's happening. I don't think that's, and I honestly don't think there's anything really relevant to this. And to kind of highlight the fact that this is kind of an inconsequential piece of trivia as to which film ended Phase 3, even Kevin Feige mentioned, he just kind of brought it up in a random interview he was doing. And he goes, yeah, you know what? I don't think I've ever said that out loud, but yeah, Spider-Man Far From Home is the final film of Phase 3. I think it's only because that's where they've announced everything up to. And they're just getting ready to make their next big set of announcements after Far From Home comes out about what the next films are. So I don't see anything significant in this whatsoever, Rob. But do you see it differently? Do you think there's any significance to the fact that Far From Home is actually the final film in Phase 3 as opposed to Endgame?
No, I mean, because here, to me, what it is, it's the breath after, it's the breath you take after the story. You know, just like Ant-Man was. We have all these big shenanigans happening on a global scale with all of our major characters. And once that's resolved, let's have another story that sort of reminds us, let's bring it down to earth. Let's show us that we can now tell a smaller story that's just as enjoyable and fun, and it puts a smile on your face. And I mean, after all this import and all the emotional wallop between Infinity War and presumably Endgame, that you get to have a nice fun time at the movies, free of all of that, and that's where you end off, and that's where it's the downside of the roller coaster, you know, and it's the part when you've taken all the big turns and gone down the big hills, but it's before you pull into the station. You know, you're still having fun. You know, you're remembering, man, I love this roller coaster. It's great. And there's still a little bit more to go. And you're still having fun. You're not screaming anymore, but it's still fun to be on that roller coaster. And then it pulls into the station, you get off, and then you look for the next ride to go on. And I think that's kind of, I don't know where I came up with that. I don't know if that metaphor works, but
it works.
But off the top of my head, that's kind of, you know, it's when you get off the Incredicoaster and you're looking to go play that arcade game at California Adventure.
Well, speaking of screaming, that's a good segue into our next topic here. But before we get to our next topic, folks, what do you guys think? Do you think there's some big significance? And maybe there is. Do you think there's some big significance to the fact that Spider-Man Far From Home is going to be the final movie in MCU Phase 3? Or do you think, like I do, Ant-Man wasn't significant, so no big deal? Also, by the way, there's no kind of rhyme or reason to this. Phase 1 had 6 films. Phase 2 had 6 films. Phase 3 has 11 films. I mean, there's no rhyme or reason to it really, but maybe you guys see some more significance in that I'm missing. Jump down in the comment section below and let me know your thoughts. All right, with that down and out of the way, what's the next main topic today?
Next up is Jacob Silvers. Hi, John. I wanted to take my 10-year-old niece who also loves Marvel films to see Endgame, but with it being 3 hours long, I don't think she'll sit through the whole movie. What should I do?
Ooh, Jacob. Oh, brother. You know, this is a bit of a conversation that comes up here on the John Campea Show every once in a while, which is, let's start with the grander picture of things. The grander picture is the issue of should parents bring their kids to these movies at all? To movies at all. Forget just these movies. Should parents bring their kids to movies at all? A lot of people would just really prefer it if parents left their kids at home. They don't want their kids in the theaters. They don't want to hear the screaming kids. They don't want to do any of that. And that's totally understandable. I get that. I really do. I completely understand it. There's rationale to that, and I acknowledge that. But I've always kind of felt a little bit of not just sympathy, but empathy for parents. You know, when you can be a big diehard movie fan and then you have kids. Lots of people have kids. And getting babysitters can be tough. Getting all that kind of stuff. Is the answer that, well, then you just shouldn't be allowed to go to the movies? I don't think so. Because look, honestly, Rob, for every story we hear, at least for me, from my point of view, about babies that are crying and screaming in the movie theaters, about kids who are acting out of control, that does happen from time to time. It does. But, you know, what we don't often talk about is the fact that for every one time I see a kid start screaming, misbehaving, there's about 50 other times I see parents with kids and children at movies, and they're perfectly well behaved. And it's perfectly fine. It's not like every time a parent brings a kid to a movie, that kid will misbehave. I just got to tell you, my experience has been different. I go to movies all the time, and I'm often sitting in the theater, and I see lots of parents with kids. Sometimes not only their own kids, but other people's kids as well. What they're doing with other people's kids, I'm not sure. But anyway, they're sitting there with other people's kids as well. And 90% of the time, those kids are perfectly fine. And I'll be honest with you, sometimes I find it adorable when something really wild happens on screen and the whole theater's quiet, but then you hear one kid saying what all of us wish we could say, going, wow. And then the whole theater, we've all had that experience, right? And then the whole theater erupts into laughing. It's adorable. I love it. But yes, sometimes kids do get antsy. Sometimes kids do get wound up. Sometimes kids are losing their patience. And so I've always kind of felt for parents. I think parents should be able to bring their kids without people looking at them dirty. And even when kids do misbehave, a lot of times the parents are pretty sensitive and they go, okay, and they pick up the baby and they walk out of the theater. It's perfectly fine to me. And sometimes you get some parents that are not so cooperative and they're thinking, my crying kid is your problem. Well, what are you going to do about that? But Rob, Jacob brings up a very interesting point though. This is not any movie. This is a 3+ hour movie. That is a long time to reasonably expect or put expectations on a child that they will behave. And this picture right here is my nightmare for Avengers Endgame. This is my nightmare right here. Sitting beside this kid while watching Avengers Endgame. That's my nightmare. But does it change the narrative here a bit, Rob, understanding this is a 3-hour movie and maybe parents should give a little bit more consideration to themselves and to their fellow moviegoers about whether this is a good idea to bring them to a movie that is this long? There's going to be a lot of loud noises. You know, can they sit there for 3 hours? I don't know, Rob. How would you approach this? What should people do with this?
Well, they did. Here's the thing. I think it's a niece, right? It's his niece who's 10 years old. Look, I think a 10-year-old is smart enough and knows what they're getting into at this point. If they're fans of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, I think kids at 10 years old can be told what they're getting into. And I think that a child who's 10, all you have to do is explain, look, this is a special movie. Tell them what's up. And especially if she knows about the MCU, she's a fan. I don't think this movie is going to be like Gandhi that's going to leave perhaps a 10-year-old kid a little bored. But I don't think this movie is going to be very boring. Call me crazy. But again, I think you just have to take the time and contextualize what you're going to see and ask. Say, look, it's 3 hours long. Do you think you're going to be able to sit there? And if you think you might have to go to the bathroom, make it a point to get tickets where you can sit on the aisle. I don't think a 10-year-old child who's interested in the MCU should be deprived of this experience. And this, obviously, this person is asking you, he's asking us what we think. And I think you should have this conversation. And kids are smart. They're a lot smarter than we give them credit for. And you sit down and you explain this movie's going to be really exciting for a lot of people. We don't want to ruin it. We make it we. We don't want to ruin it for anybody. Do you think you can handle 3 hours? Like, that means you can't. And if you're going to go to the bathroom, we have to sit on the aisle, and you got to be ready for that. And just put it in their court. Ask them. Tell them what's up. And I think most of the time you'll find out that a 10-year-old kid is going to want to play ball and is going to want. I knew when I was 10, I saw Star Wars when I was 10. I was cogent enough I understood. And I would think that a 10-year-old kid would be just as excited as we are. And I think I'd take the risk, because I think you're going to be far more, as a parent, rewarded by taking that 10-year-old niece of yours to see Endgame. It's going to be a bonding experience you both will not soon forget. And just tell her up front.
Star Wars was 89 minutes, by the way. Just throwing that out there. I don't know, man. I've had friends. I've had a lot of friends with kids. I think the original Star Wars was just an hour and a half.
No, man, over 120. Oh, I think it's 121.
What did I say? An hour and a half, right?
89 minutes.
Isn't that an hour and 20 minutes?
No, it's over. Star Wars is over 2 hours.
Is it over 2 hours?
Yeah.
I thought it was like an hour and a half.
I think Empire is 124 and Star Wars is 121. I think.
But it's not 3 hours. I don't know. I just wonder if we're overestimating kids' ability and maybe expecting too much from them. But then what about kids that are younger than 10? What if there's a couple that has a 5 and a 4-year-old and they bring them?
No.
Ashley, what do you counsel, Ashley, your friends who have kids like that age? Are you telling them that, bring them to Endgame, or you're thinking maybe they shouldn't at this time?
Yeah, definitely not. I mean, my friends that have like 3-year-olds, most of my friends don't have kids, but the ones that do, they're all from, just born to about 3 years old. And they would never, I don't think, take their kid. That would be a disservice to them, like not even to the whole theater. Like they don't want to take their kids to this movie. But I think a 10-year-old, I mean, you could even maybe try like a little practice run, maybe have the kid sit on the couch and watch Infinity War again and see if the kid can just be quiet on the couch the entire time and focused, and then maybe play the first 30 minutes again. I forget how long Infinity War is, but maybe, try a little trial run and see how that goes if you're worried about it. But yeah, as Rob was saying, I mean, I think I saw, what did I see? Maybe Jurassic Park when I was younger and in theaters. And actually, it really scared me. I think I had to leave early. But I'm pretty sure that, like, a lot of kids can handle longer movies these days. I feel like, especially if he's already familiar with the MCU. So I'd give it a shot, maybe do a trial run and have a conversation with the kid.
And by the way, Rob, a little bit of fact check. You're incorrect. It is not 123 minutes long. It is 125 minutes long. Well,
that's a special edition of the original version.
That means you're way closer than I was. Oh, I believe that's the special edition, but I don't think
there's that added Jabba scene.
Yeah, I don't think they're. I think they're a little bit different. The bottom line is you were way closer than me. You were far closer than me. Okay, so guys, what do you think? Do you think people should bring kids? However, whatever age you want to define as kids, do you think people should be bringing kids to come see Endgame, understanding that it's a 3+ hour movie? Yeah, give it a shot. Kid by kid has to be judged on an individual basis. Just in general, no. What do you think? Jump down in the comment section and let me know. And I don't think people have enough sympathy and empathy for people who are parents, because I think most parents who bring their kids to the movies, I think they do a very good job with them. And you think it's 95% of the time it's not a problem at all. But a 3-hour movie does seem like a bit of a stretch. Okay.
And it's scary. It could be scary for kids to understand.
Yeah, a lot of big explosions and
Harry Potter
loud
was
sounds.
Scary for kids.
Yeah. Well, and for me. Okay. Put that down, Ashley. What is our final main topic today?
Last one is Bobby Powell. Hey, John, I know you said you weren't really all that interested in seeing all the new Avengers Endgame TV spots since you're more interested in the real trailers, but they just put out a new one that gives us our first look at Valkyrie and a line from Thanos about burning the Earth. Did you see it, and what did you think?
Ooh, yeah, you're absolutely right. I'm all for trailers. I generally, Rob, I haven't been keeping up with the TV spots. There have been new TV spots every single day, and I have not been keeping up with them. That's on purpose. If they dropped a new official trailer, I'll check it out, but I've been avoiding this stuff. But last night, I did happen across this one because somebody mentioned to me, this one gives us our first look at Valkyrie, and that was interesting to me because there had still been some discussion going around that Valkyrie wasn't going to be in this movie. That some people thinking that her being in the poster and all that kind of stuff is a misdirect. And there's a possibility for that. Now we see a trailer with her actually in there. And that's interesting. It's a good spot. It's a good TV spot. I haven't watched all of them, but this was a good TV spot. However, there's a line in it. Thanos saying, I'm going to kill, once I kill you, I'm paraphrasing it, once I kill you, I'm going to burn this irritating little planet to cinder. Like he's like just fed up. That's a fed up Thanos there, ladies and gentlemen, talking about all this stuff. Rob, did you have a chance to check out this TV spot yet? And what do you think?
No, I've gone silent. I will not watch.
Oh, really?
I won't watch. I don't want to see anything more. I've seen enough. I saw that one spoiler. I'm like, nope, I'm done. Don't want to watch anything. Don't want to see anything. Don't want to hear any more until tomorrow where I get to see the whole movie. Then I can tell you about Tessa Thompson and her TV spot. Man, I got to tell you, I love me some Tessa Thompson. I got to tell you.
Tessa Thompson is great. I met Tessa Thompson at the Infinity War premiere. Actually, I met her there, and she was with, I guess, a guy she was dating. And at the time that I met her, she was actually it was a huge geek moment for me. She was actually standing there with Patton Oswalt, talking other things, and that's when I got to meet her. So that was she's shorter than you think. I mean, I guess you can tell she's short, but seeing her stand next to Chris Hemsworth, who's huge, you don't really get a sense of it. She's short, but man, she carries a strong screen presence.
I've been watching Westworld season 1 again. Woo-wee.
Oh, yeah.
She's sexy in that.
Yeah, I'm not a big Westworld
I saw her
fan.
actually buying wine and cheese like down the street one time, and she was in front of me and looking fashionable as ever. I mean, her fashion is on point. I love that girl.
I love her in Creed. I love her in Creed.
Incredible actress.
So good in that. All right, guys, that will do it for all of our main topics today. Now we're going to save some time and take some live questions. But before we get to our live questions, guys, listen, there's a lot of other stuff going on in the world of movie news and television news, but we don't always have time here to get around to all that stuff. But I want to make sure you guys get caught up to date. So here's a little segment that we call the Movie News Feed. First up, veteran Hollywood director John Singleton has suffered a stroke and is currently in hospital in the ICU unit. The director of such films as Boys in the Hood, Higher Learning, Shaft, Too Fast, Too Furious, and episodes of such TV shows as Empire, Billions, and American Crime Story, was apparently already in the hospital for another matter when he suffered the stroke. From Variety, the Singleton family has issued a statement. On Wednesday, April 17th, our beloved son/father, John Singleton, suffered a stroke while at the hospital. John is currently in the ICU and under great medical care. We ask that privacy be given to him and our family at this time and appreciate all of the prayers that have been pouring in from his fans, friends, and colleagues. Singleton has been nominated for 2 Academy Awards and 2 Emmy Awards in his career, and we here at the John Campea Show wish him a speedy recovery. Next up, as many of you already know, Ryan Reynolds and Samuel L. Jackson are currently filming the sequel to their 2017 hit film, The Hitman's Bodyguard, called The Hitman's Wife's Bodyguard. Now, Ryan Reynolds has released a new image from the set of the film that also announced he is finished shooting his part in the movie. This raises some speculation on if Reynolds just has a quicker schedule for shooting than Samuel Jackson and Salma Hayek did, or if perhaps this signals that Reynolds has a smaller part in this film than we originally suspected. Time will tell. For now, there is no official release date for the new film just yet. Next up, as some of you will remember, back in 2011, Jennifer Aniston and Adam Sandler did the comedy Just Go With It, which made over $210 million at the worldwide box office. The two have re-teamed again for the new Netflix movie Murder Mystery, and the first images have been released. The synopsis for Murder Mystery reads like this. When a New York City cop, played by Adam Sandler, finally takes his wife, Jennifer Aniston, on a long-promised European trip, a chance meeting on the flight with a mysterious man, played by Luke Evans, gets them invited to an intimate family gathering on the super yacht of elderly billionaire Malcolm Quince. When Quince is murdered, they become the prime suspects in a modern-day whodunit. The film is directed by Workaholics writer Kyle Newacek and was written by Zodiac scribe James Vanderbilt. Next up, we all have our favorite movies that we've seen in theaters 4, 5, 8, maybe even 10 times, but those numbers are nothing compared to Wisconsin chiropractor Steve Ruppel, who has smashed the Guinness Book of World Records mark by watching Captain Marvel in theaters. Are you ready for this? 116 times. The number smashes the previously held record of 103. Now, to be official, Ruppel had to meet some stipulations. To be official, I had to have certain pictures taken, like in front of a movie poster, and I need to have 2 written witness statements saying that I was actually there. So I'm trying to think if anyone wanted to break this. I really don't want to re-break it, because this has been pretty tough. It's been a finite amount of time, but I don't think I'm going to try this one again. This may actually be one world record that might never be beaten, or even should be beaten. He's got to have it memorized by now, right? And finally, Sylvester Stallone has been hard at work recently shooting his next and apparently final installment of the John J. Rambo franchise called Rambo 5: Last Blood, which is obviously a play on words from the title of the original film, First Blood. Yesterday, Stallone released a number of black and white still images from the upcoming film that promises a very violent journey to close out the Rambo series. From JoBlo.com, supposedly the last entry in the series, Rambo 5: Last Blood finds John Rambo strapping on his boots, loading up his gear, and going up against a Mexican cartel in the hopes of saving a young girl's life from the brutal men who hold her captive. It may have been a little over 40 years ago when we first saw Rambo claiming it wasn't him who drew first blood, but now he will most certainly have the last laugh. Rambo 5: Last Blood is currently scheduled to hit theaters on September 20th. And that'll do it for today's installment of the Movie News Feed. All right, guys, now you are all caught up to date on all the other stuff going on in the world of movie news. And once again, we here at the John Campea Show send out our thoughts, prayers, and best wishes to John Singleton and his family for a speedy recovery. Okay, guys, with that down and out of the way, it's now time for us to get on to the live questions. I love this part of the show where you guys dictate what it is we're going to talk about right here. A whole bunch of you have already been firing in a bunch of cool topics for us to talk about. So, Ashley, let's jump on over and start taking the live questions. What is first up on the live questions today?
First super chat is Raven 415-2001. Good morning, all. Happy Endgame week.
Yes, it is Endgame week. It's hard to believe it's actually here. A bunch of us, some of us are seeing it today. A bunch of people are going to see it tomorrow. A whole ton of you around the world are going to start viewing it tomorrow and Wednesday, Thursday, North America. It is Avengers week. Unbelievable. It's finally here. Rob, how are you holding it together?
I don't know, man. I'm Ghibli, dude. I'm Ghibli.
Totally Ghibli. All right. Get yourself a drinky poo and you're all ready to go. Okay, what's next?
Willow Yang, happy Endgame week. Looking forward to hearing your reaction. Fingers crossed.
Yeah, and just to be clear, a lot of people have been asking me, we are able to send out our social media reactions tonight. So at 10 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, that's 1 a.m. on the East Coast, that is when we can start putting out our social media reactions. And then the full review embargo gets lifted tomorrow. So watch for my social media reactions tonight and my full review to drop tomorrow after the John Campea Show. So, Rob, it's going to be hard not to talk too much about Endgame on tomorrow's John Campea Show. I'm sure there's some things, I'll be able to read other people's reactions. We'll talk about that, but it's going to be tough. It's a good thing you're not seeing it tonight, because I honestly do not think, Ashley, that Rob would be able to keep it together. I don't think Rob would be able to not talk about it.
I'd go full Ruffalo, man. I'd go full Ruffalo.
Go full Ruffalo. I like that. Okay, what is next?
Chandra Sakara, Saraswathi, trolls now using hashtag don't spoil the Endgame to spread spoilers. Also, John, how did you get access to movie premieres while Robert, who knows Bob Iger, doesn't?
Well, I think the fact that Bob Iger knows Rob is why Rob doesn't get invited.
That's
he
exactly
knows
right.
That he'll go full Ruffalo. They know that he'll go full Ruffalo. Yeah, again, look, people want to spoil things for people, and they'll try to trick people into getting things spoiled. It is really unfortunate, but hey, those types of people live in our world. Oh, well, what's next?
Next is Anthony DeRizzo. Chewbacca should have gotten an effing medal. Justice for Chewie.
Dude, I've been saying that for years. I've always said that the last line spoken in Star Wars A New Hope is Chewie going, which I've always said is Wookiee for where the fuck is my medal? Because, I've always said this, but it's still true to me. It's like, oh, really? You want me to come down? So let me get this straight. You make me brush out my fur, put on my best bandolier, make the big long walk down the aisle with everybody, waving to the adoring people, and then I get up there and you leave me hanging. Like, oh, okay. I've never understood that, Rob. I never will understand it. It's a running gag. It's stereotypical, but still, I'll never understand how they didn't give a medal to Chewie.
No, it's a cultural thing. Chewie does not accept medals. Wookiees don't need that kind of. They don't need that kind of material acknowledgement that they've done something heroic. Wookiees are supposed to do what they do, and on Kashyyyk, that they don't need those things. They find medals.
And yet he walked down the aisle with them waving to the adoring fans. I don't know. I thought if anything that George should have done with his special editions was add that in. That would have been the one improvement I think he should have made to the movie. In my
he just didn't want to embarrass short little Princess Leia.
No, that's true. Yeah, maybe there's that. All right.
He was being a gentleman.
That would be a big reach. That would be a big reach. All right, what's next?
DC Patience, Dan Morrell, Game of Thrones all-season recap is epic. Love him.
Yeah, there's a lot of really good ones. And, of course, Screen Junkies did a good one. IGN put up a pretty good one. There's about 1,000 of them out there. Like, somebody said to me, John, you should do a Game of Thrones recap. I'm like, everybody has Game of Thrones recaps out there.
How much work is that?
Yeah, and many of them are very good. Like some of them are very particular. Screen Junkies was one as well. So yeah, that's why there was no need for me to do one. All right, what's next?
Tyler Yates, thoughts on The Soloist? Want to check it out?
I like The Soloist. Like, look, when they first came out with the notion, it was based on an article, a series of articles written in the LA Times, is what it was based on. And you had why am I forgetting Ray Charles, the guy, Jamie Foxx. If I'm thinking of the right movie, right? That's the one with Jamie Foxx, Robert Downey Jr., if I'm not mistaken.
I believe so.
Yeah.
That's what I was thinking.
I quite now was it as good as I thought it had potential to be? No, but I quite enjoyed it. Did you like that one, Rob?
I did like it. I like that movie.
Yeah, me too. All right, what's next?
Kevin Lewis, over under 15. Shuri goes Iron Heart.
I'm going to go under 15. As of right now, she's never even met Robert Downey Jr. She's never even met Tony Stark. So not to mention she's royalty in Wakanda. She's got responsibilities there. So I'm going to take the under on that. Now, I understand. In the comic books, a black girl becomes Ironheart. Shuri's a black girl. That must mean she's going to be Ironheart. I know. I don't see that connection there. Rob, do you think? I mean, 15's a low number. 15% is a low number. Do you go over or under on that?
I'm going to go under because I think you're right. I think Shuri's place is she's Wakandan. She's running their entire bleeding edge sciences division. She's at the place where they have the best technology on Earth. I don't see her leaving. But that said, I'd love to see Ironheart brought in. I'd love to see Tony Stark. We've seen the mentor relationship he has with Spider-Man, but what if we could watch an even deeper? I mean, what if he did another Iron Man movie where Tony Stark doesn't don the armor, but he becomes a mentor and brings a new Iron Man or Iron Heart, Iron Woman into the world? I'd love that.
All right, what's next?
RJ Technovine, John, a strong 6.1 earthquake hit Milana today. I felt it. If I felt this, Manila. Sorry, yeah. Manila today. If I felt it.
Oh, I think we lost Ashley. We've lost Ashley. Ashley is down, ladies and gentlemen. We have an Ashley down. Okay.
It's like Black Hawk Down, but different.
Yes, like Black Hawk Down, but different. So I will continue on reading the questions here, I guess. RJT, so a 6.1, I did not hear about that. Obviously, my family is Filipino. Hold on a second. Let me just double check something here. So I hadn't even heard about this. Must be very recent. Yeah, I have not seen that. But anyway, I felt this in the theater for Endgame on Wednesday. I'd get up, find the nearest exit, and watch it next time. Oh, yes. I mean, look, seriously, RJT, there are going to be a lot of people who joke where it doesn't matter what's happening. I'm staying in that theater and watching that movie. No, dudes, it's just a movie. If you're in a theater and you feel something like an earthquake, don't be stupid. It's a movie. You can watch it 50 times a day for the rest of your life. Well, not at 3 hours long, but you can watch it 5 times a day for the rest of your life if you want. Get up, leave the theater. Absolutely good advice, RJT. All right, next one comes to us from Jay Meister25, who writes, well, John, the day has arrived. You're seeing Endgame tonight, and you have made me super peanut butter and jelly. Enjoy the show, brother. Well, thank you so much, man. I am very excited about seeing the movie. And then, Rob, you and I are going to get to go see it tomorrow. And it's just weird. Again, weird to think that it's actually here. Forget that the premiere is tonight. It's Avengers week. It's opening worldwide this week. It's here. All this stuff we've been talking about, it is here now. And don't forget, guys, this coming Sunday, 12 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, me and Rob are going to be doing a full open Avengers Endgame open spoiler discussion. Looking forward to it.
Woohoo!
And we cannot wait to have you guys join us for that. All right.
Ghibli.
Next one up is Ghibli. Next one up is Aaron H. who writes, kind of feel like HBO and Marvel are trying to collect all the nerd tiers this week and sell them on the black market. Dude, I'm telling you what, Rob, you and I were talking about just beforehand the episode of Game of Thrones this week, which I look, I'm not going to give any spoilers away for people who didn't watch it. Again, there's some people complaining about it because there's no sword fights. I don't, like, again, Rob, I was saying this to you earlier, any freaking show can go, oh, cling, 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 we have sword fights, and ooh, there's a monster. Any show can do that. Game of Thrones, their bread and butter, and what makes this show great is its dramatic narrative, their character development, their character interactions, the dialogue of these shows. This is where the true strength of Game of Thrones is. And I thought these first 2 weeks of this season have been exemplary examples of that. And I have eaten up and been just hooked into this show every minute these first 2 episodes of this season. I have loved it. I know you liked it too.
I loved it. I mean, all character, seeing characters that have never met in the show. Like they all come together. I love that scene sitting by the fire, where Brienne, well, I don't want to say anything.
We don't want to give anything too much away, yes.
It's so just, it was a character episode where people just talked to each other.
So
and
good.
I loved all of it.
So good.
And the conversation I really wanted to see happened. And
Yep.
I was like, oh, I can't wait.
And
all
you know
I can say is, what about the North, John? What about the North?
And all of the stuff they've done these first 2 episodes is going to make the Battle of Winterfell all that better. With all that dramatic now underpinning underneath it, it's going to make it all the better. I cannot wait. All right, got to move on here. Amit writes, final box office prediction for Endgame opening weekend. I still withhold the right to change it last minute, but right now I'm going to say 279. It's going to destroy the record. I think it's going to be, I'm going to go at, my final prediction is going to be 279. Rob, what about you?
280. I'm going to be like the
so roughly the
showdown. The Price is Right showcase showdown. I'm going to outbid you by $1.
280. All right, here we go. All right. Oh, look, ladies and gentlemen, I think we could be wrong here, but I think Ashley is back. Ashley, are you here with us?
I am here.
Oh, Ashley's here. Fantastic.
I'm back, guys. It was trying to prevent me from seeing any Game of Thrones spoilers, I think, is what was just happening.
Well, it's a good thing. You missed a really good moment. All right. Are you caught up with this? You're up to Anthony DeRizzo's question?
Yes, I got it.
All right, take
Anthony
it away.
DeRizzo, awesome Game of Thrones show tonight. They do know the Night King has a dragon. Bran told them at the beginning of episode 1, stay filthy, my friend.
Yeah, I was, in our discussion last night, we were talking about, wait a minute, does everybody at Winterfell even know they have a dragon? Then I realized, oh yeah, I forgot about the Bran part. Then I thought, oh yeah, those guys who were at the wall when the dragon took it down now just showed up. We got Tormund showed up there. The other guys are there. So yeah, they know, but I forgot about that. Oh my God. But you know what? Oh, I can't say because I don't want to give any spoilers when Ashley's here. But yes, it was an awesome Game of Thrones moment. It absolutely was. All right, what's next?
I'm going to watch it right after this. Raven 4. Hi, also over under 92%. John makes it through Endgame tonight without having to use the restroom. P.S. Hi, Ashley. You are a vision of loveliness. Thank you. I'm glad I'm back for that one. No.
Look, I'll just be honest. I'm going to take the under 92% that I'm able to make it through the whole thing because there's a pre-reception. There's going to be food and drinks, and then they give away complimentary bottles of soda and stuff like that. And I'm going to partake because here's the thing. They say the screening starts at 6. That's always a lie. These things never start on time. It'll probably actually start around 6:30, maybe even 6:45. So we're going to be sitting in the theater, just sitting there for a half hour, 45 minutes. I'm probably going to want to snack on some popcorn and have a soda. Because of that, I think my chances of getting through the entire run of the movie without having to get up and go to the bathroom is under 92%.
Dude, you can drain the main vein before the main event starts. Come on, what's up?
It takes some time for liquid to process through, man. Like if I'm drinking like a half hour before it, I'm not ready to dispense of it. I don't know. I hope so, but I'm going to take under 92% on that. All right, what's next?
DC patients over under 52%. John likes Endgame more than Shazam.
I don't know. I like Shazam an awful lot. Not everybody agrees with me, and that's cool. But for me, you guys know I like Shazam a hell of a lot. You know what? I'm going to go under. Because I think it's closer to a 50-50 coin toss. So at 52%, I'm actually going to take the under on it. And by the way, I don't have to like Endgame as much as Shazam to love it, because I love Shazam. If I like Endgame anywhere near as much as I like Shazam, then I'm going to walk out of this movie tonight very, very happy. So I don't know. Rob, what do you think the chances are that I'll like it more than Shazam?
I think you might not like it more than Shazam because there's different things happening.
That's true.
Shazam is a movie that you can embrace and you're not expecting as much from it, and it was delightful for you and made you smile. And
it surprised me. You're right. That's a good observation.
Yes. Yeah. And this movie has a lot more going on, and it's doing a totally different thing than Shazam is doing. And this also doesn't have the kind of expectations Shazam had. I mean, this has a lot more expectations.
Yeah, massively more.
And Shazam had to do one thing. It had to be entertaining and delight you, whereas this movie basically has to make sure that moonbeams are shooting out of your butt when you leave, because and rainbows are going to be following you everywhere you go. It's got to be that kind of a movie. And there's a lot more that this movie has to do.
Yeah, I agree. And a lot more risks they're going to have to take as well. Yeah. So, all right, what's next?
Robert Johnson, if you never saw either franchise, what would be more surprising, going from Fast and the Furious directly to Fast 8 or Iron Man directly to Infinity War?
Going from Fast and Furious to Fast and Furious 8, because that's a total transformation of the franchise. Like, yeah, there's definitely evolution in the MCU from Iron Man to where we are now. There's absolutely evolution, but Fast and Furious completely changed their DNA of what their franchise even was, going from that first movie to the last one. So I think I would probably be more surprised by that. Rob, what do you think?
I agree with you, because people would be going, wait a minute, where's Paul Walker and why is Dwayne Johnson in this movie?
Yeah.
It'd be like, wait a minute, the first Fast and Furious takes place.
And why are they fighting Russian nuclear submarines all of a sudden?
Right. I agree with you. Whereas Iron Man, you'd expect you to wind up with a lot of comic book characters in a movie.
Yeah.
But Fast 8's unrecognizable.
All right, what's next?
Troy Strauss, Game of Thrones. Gendry is not the rightful heir. You cannot inherit land or titles if you are a bastard. You have to be legitimized, i.e. Ramsay Bolton situation.
You're right, because, Jon Snow isn't considered a bastard by everybody, and they'd never make him king of the North. Oh, wait, they did. Now, we know he's not a bastard, but everybody else thinks he is. And look, he was proclaimed king of the North. And look, Gendry, if he was no threat and had no claim to the throne, his life wouldn't be in danger. They wouldn't have to hide him from everybody. All that kind of stuff. Look, bottom line is this. You can have whatever rules or regulations you want. The victors make the rules. And that's more true in Game of Thrones than anywhere else. The victors make the rules. And I could totally see Jon Snow, like their side winning at the end. By the way, I have no insider information. But I'm saying I could totally see them winning, and then Jon Snow at the end going, I don't want a crown on my head. This is the son of Robert Baratheon. And putting him on the throne, now he's got Arya with him. Arya's on the throne. Arya ends up on the Iron Throne. I don't know. So, yeah, I had a lot of people discuss with me that, no, he can't be. We've got a bastard who was already proclaimed king. Now, I understand there are rules in that world, but this is a world where rules are broken all the time, and the victors always make the rules. I don't know, Rob, what do you think about that?
Look, I agree with you. I like that idea. I like Gendry and Arya Stark sitting on the throne. I mean, King Gendry and Arya being his queen. That's kind of cool. But I think it's going to be. I think Sansa Stark is going to be Queen of Winterfell. Queen of.
She's becoming more and more of a. Her and Lady Mormont are becoming like the two most formidable people in Game of Thrones, and I'm loving it. All right, what's next?
Robert Johnson, can Tony use extremists to fix Rhodey's legs?
I probably would have by now. I don't think so. I think they kind of got rid of that whole thing. I don't think they decided to play around with it anymore. Do you remember anything differently, Rob?
No, but I after who knows what's going to happen after this movie with
I know it's
the power
so
that's
nutty.
been unleashed.
They could bring in anything at this point.
We've got the galaxy to fix his legs now.
Yeah, that's true too. All right, what's next?
Josh Quick, MK11 and Endgame in the same week. Crazy.
Yeah, I keep forgetting about that. Mortal Kombat 11 comes out this week. I remember it was at the Video Game Awards that they dropped the first kind of cutscene and trailers for that. And it's like, oh my God, if you're looking for stuff that's just brutal, this is going to be your jam. All right, what's next?
Amen. Wanted to say, hope you have an amazing time tonight. I'm going to be logging off the internet until Thursday, so won't be watching the show till Friday. Have fun.
I think you're going to be totally safe. I think you're going to be like, I'm certainly not going to drop any spoilers for this thing. And we've got Rob. And so, Rob, we got Ray and Jonathan in the chat board moderating, doing a good job moderating. I think you'll be safe, But hey, you do what you got to do to keep yourself protected for it. And if that's what you got, or just watch a show and just turn off the live chat. You can do that. You can turn off the chat board on the live chat. So do that as well if you need to. And thank you so much for the well wishes. I'm sure we're going to have a good time tonight. All right, what's next?
One in a million. Hey, John, when does the social media review embargo lift for Endgame? Are you allowed to say? Hope you have a great time tonight and enjoy the film.
Yes, social media review embargo lifts tonight after the movie at 10 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. That's when you can expect to see me putting up my first reactions. And then the review embargo lifts tomorrow. I believe it's 3 p.m. tomorrow. I'll have to double check, but it's tomorrow afternoon at some point. All right, what's next?
Robert Perez, I'm happy for you, John, seeing Endgame with the woman you love. That's special. Hi, Rob and Ashley. May the force be with you all. That includes our community.
It is. Look, I always talk about on this show, Rob, that the best thing about movies is when they're shared experiences. I go to movies by myself all the time. I have a great time, but I like to see highly anticipated movies with somebody because movies are shared experiences, and I love that. And I love that I get to, number one, I get to go with my best friend in the world. I get to go with Ann tonight. That's going to be great. And tomorrow, I'm super excited that I get to watch it with you, and we're going to get to see that together tomorrow. So yeah, I'm totally stoked about that. I know you're excited about this movie tomorrow.
Dude, I'm so Ghibli.
So Ghibli. As a matter of fact, I think Rob is actually, you're going to come in here and actually do tomorrow's show from here in studio, and then we're going to leave from here and go watch the movie tomorrow. So
yeah, but I might be like a swirling dervish. I don't know what I'll do. Maybe I'll wind myself in all of your equipment there. I'll have to be restrained. I don't know what's going to happen, dude. I don't know. I'm
totally
Ghibli.
Ghibli. All right. So Ghibli. All right. What's next?
One day. Raven, I understand how Rob feels about seeing Endgame without Schnepp. I lost my movie buddy in February of 2002 between Star Wars Episode 1 and 2 and between Fellowship of the Ring and Two Towers. No one is really ever gone.
Yeah, it's always funny when movies, because we just talked about shared experiences, right? And I remember going into my first comic book movie after Brendan died, after my best friend growing up died almost 2 years ago. That's weird. It's about 2 years ago now. Yeah. That he died. And it's strong. And we've been talking a bunch about Rob. I mean, you're going in the last first screening you had of an Avengers movie, you went and saw it with Schnepp. But it makes it, and Rob, I've had people writing in saying, I had this uncle, and the last movie we saw together was X movie, and it's made that movie all the more special. And that is one of the great things about movies, is about these shared experiences they create that, they bring us moments of sadness, but at the same time, it really puts a smile on my face when I think about the people that I've lost and the movie experiences I've had with them and what they would think about the experiences we're having now and all that kind of stuff. It's really good. And we brought it up before, Rob, but I mean, I got to imagine it's got to be particular because this is the first, Avengers movie. It's going to mark, we're getting close. Now that we're getting close to May, we're just a couple months away from the 1 year anniversary of when we lost Schnepp and stuff like that. It's going to be emotional tomorrow, I think.
No, I think so too. And my birthday is May 15th, and John's was May 16th.
That's
and we're the same age, and it's strange. I mean, I wouldn't have met you if it wasn't for John Schnepp. Mm-hmm. I wouldn't have been on Heroes if it wasn't for Schnepp. And Schnepp was the kind of guy. I was in New York. I want to say it was in 2009 or maybe 8. And I was with the girl I was dating at the time, and we just randomly went into this Russian bar in Times Square, and John Schnepp was there. Just randomly there at a bar in New York. And we hung out with him over the course of the time that we were in New York City. And to me, that was kind of how John was almost like the geek godfather or perhaps the geek genie. he was this mystical figure in a way, and sitting next to him at Infinity War was one of my favorite movie going experiences I've ever had, because we were both Ghibli. And we kept when Red Skull shows up, we were like, oh my god, it was just so much fun. I'll miss it.
All right, what's next?
Kyle Starr, domestic first weekend overall global predictions, Endgame.
Well, overall, I don't care about overall global opening weekend, because you can't compare it to anything, because every movie opens in a different number of countries around the world every single time. So it's a non-issue. So I don't really care about that. Domestically, which is an apples to apples comparison, again, I'm thinking it's going to probably destroy the record. I'm going to go 279. Rob, you're still sticking at 280.
Yeah, but I think worldwide you're looking at 750 million, maybe.
Or north, but again, it's an irrelevant, to me, it's an irrelevant number, because every movie opens in a different, some movies open in 10 countries on the opening weekend. Some movies open in 30 countries in opening weekend. And you just can't compare them. So it's almost not even worth talking about at that point. All right, what's next?
Joseph Mitchell, over under 50% Rocket asks Iron Man how much for the suit.
Oh, you know what? I think the joke's played out, so I don't think they're going to do it. I don't think it's impossible, but at 50%, I'll take the under. Rob?
I'll take the under too.
All right, what's next?
Russell P. I recently watched the 21, 22 Jump Street movies again. I love these films and the chemistry between Tatum and Hill. I would love to see more, honestly.
I'm telling you what, me too. The 21 Jump Street was such an incredible surprise to me. It was such a surprise, because it was one of those films. I got 5 or 6 films that I just was convinced these movies would suck, and that I would hate. There was a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie that I was completely convinced was going to be awful and terrible. And 21 Jump Street is one of those movies. I'm like, this is a terrible idea. This is an old TV original that's way past its prime, and blah, 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 blah. Loved it. And this, folks, is why you leave your expectations at the door when you go into a movie. I love that movie. 22 Jump Street has one of the biggest laughs I've ever had in a movie theater, when Channing Tatum realizes that Jonah Hill was sleeping with Ice Cube's daughter. That is like one of the funniest moments I've ever seen in a movie in my life. I love these films, and I'm with you on that. Anyway, what do you think about these movies, Rob?
They're great. I mean, it's funny because, I love Michael Mann's Miami Vice, which I thought was and these movies, I liked 21 Jump Street when I was growing up. I was there for the first season, and I'm like, they're just turning it into a joke. But when I saw the first movie, I'm like, oh, no. Okay. This is great stuff. And the second one, I might even like the second one better. I mean, they're great.
They're so funny. And I'm with you, Rachel. I want to see more. To see more. All right, what's next?
I'm upset. Hellboy dropped 68%. Ouch.
Yeah, not good. It dropped all the way down to 10th place on its second weekend. Word of mouth was not good about it. I didn't think it was a dumpster fire, the movie. I think it had redeeming qualities, but it was definitely not a film I can recommend. Unless you've got A-list and you got a free screening, maybe then, but it's too bad. Although David Harbour was a great Hellboy. I can't remember, Rob, did you have a chance to see it yet?
I have not.
I don't think you're going to be happy. Happy.
Yeah, they're even releasing a Hot Toys figure of David Harbour's Hellboy, and I'm like,
he looks great. He does. Right. I think he looks great. I honestly think his Hellboy looks better than the Ron Perlman Hellboy, but Ron Perlman's Hellboy movies are better, which is more important. All right, what's next?
Robert Perez, love Aaron's quote, "Here for the job, not your dick."
Oh yeah, so my friend Erin Cummings, the actress, I did, and she was just in NCIS last night. I didn't even know she was on it, and she's in like a new pilot, and she's flying around the world right now. I was just talking to her last night, actually, and when I had her here in studio and I was talking to her, she was telling these stories about when she first came out to Hollywood and how this big agent from a major agency whose name you would recognize basically laid it out for her, like sleep with me for gigs. And she dropped this great line. She goes, "Look, I'm here for the job, not for your dick." And if you guys have seen any of Erin on my show, she's a formidable woman. She is that would scare the crap out of me. If she ever looked at me and said something like that, would scare the crap out of me. She's great. So I'm glad you remember that line, Robert, because that interview with her was great. All right, what's next?
Doshi, having to cancel my Endgame tickets, just got news from the doctor that I have leukemia. I'm afraid I may not live to see Star Wars. Pray for me.
Dude, that is awful to hear, man. But hey, look, let me tell you this. I don't know your condition. I don't know whatever, but we've been hearing some great stories come out lately. Like, we were just talking about the WWE's Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson's cousin, Roman Reigns, was diagnosed with leukemia twice. And he has battled Kareem Abdul-Jabbar right now. He was just battling leukemia as well. So, dudes, thoughts and prayers to you, Doshi, on that. Hang in there. Keep thinking about those guys that have battled through it. And, yeah, man. So, as soon as you get a chance to go see Endgame, it'll just make it all that more sweet for you, man. So, thoughts and prayers with you, Doshi. So, thanks for sharing that, man.
He's a big supporter of my channel too. So Doshi, I want to second what John said. My friend, my oldest friend in the world, Mike Schertz, who's an ER doctor, also beat leukemia back twice, and he's free of it. And it was rough. They told him he was never going to survive. He survived twice, and he's going stronger than ever. So hang in, buddy.
Hang in there, buddies. Thanks for sharing that, Doshi. Okay, what's next?
Well, Doshi also says, trying my best to keep watching your show, John, from my hospital bed. I had a dream you overslept and missed Endgame tonight. Wouldn't that suck?
Oh, dude, don't tell me that.
Why? Hey, wait a minute. You had our sympathy.
Why you want to play me dirty like that, Doshi? What are you doing to me here? Oh, God. Now I'm going to be afraid to just close my eyes for a minute for the rest of the day. Okay. All right, what's next?
Daniel Wise, why have separate embargo for social media -review?
It gives the studios a double whammy of a publicity hit. Because you lift a social media review, bam, news headlines. Then you drop the official review embargo, bam, more headlines. It gives you a double opportunity. It lets you double dip. When you know and you're confident that the people are going to enjoy the movie and there's going to be positive buzz, you put that sort of thing out and lets you double dip. So that's why they let them do that, which I kind of like. I like that they let us do that. All right, what's next?
Herc08, John, in my R&B voice, here is $5 to say I envy you. On a serious note, hope you have a good time tonight and can't wait to see your review tomorrow.
I can't wait to put up my review tomorrow, too. It's funny because here's a situation that we're all seeing, Rob, honestly. And I love MCU fandom. I'm a part of the overall comic book movie fandom, but I'm a big MCU fan, stuff like that. I already know that there are going to be people that hate my review of Endgame. I already know it. Why? Because last year, I'm like, guys, I love Infinity War. It's great. And now, here's some things that, no movie's perfect. Here's some areas that I thought you could kind of feel. I did feel the movie was a little bit overstuffed, but they managed it well. I felt there was a little bit of this, a little bit, but overall, man, I love this movie. And like somebody says, so it's your favorite comic book movie of all time? I'm like, nah, I don't even think it's in my top 5, but I really, really love this movie. Not good enough. And so I already know that unless there's a lot of people out there that unless you come out of a movie that they're looking forward to, if you don't say this is the best thing ever, it doesn't matter how much you like it, they're going to destroy you for it. And I got a lot of hate last year for loving Infinity War, but I didn't love it enough. So I already know I'm going to get a lot of crap, that unless I come out of Infinity War or Endgame saying, this is the best thing ever, it makes The Godfather look like crap. Like, unless I come out saying that, I'm going to take a lot of heat. I already know that. I already know I'm going to take a lot of heat no matter what. But my expectations are, I think this is going to be a great movie. I'm really looking forward to it. My expectations are more measured, though, because like I said, as much as I love Infinity War, and I do, it's not in my top 5 MCU movies. Or not in my top 5. It's probably in my top 5 MCU, but it's not my top 5 overall comic book movies ever, but I love it, and I'm expecting good things out of this. But, Rob, we have huge expectations going in, right? Like, we really do.
Yeah, but also, I don't think that it's possible. Like, I didn't love Infinity more than, say, Superman the movie. Right. It's like you said, it's Infinity War is a different kind of a thing. Yeah. Like, I use a roller coaster metaphor. Infinity War is a theme park. Infinity War is and this, I would imagine, Endgame is going to be wildly entertaining, I would imagine, but it's a different kind of thing. It doesn't penetrate the soul as much, and nor is it supposed to. It's not the Shawshank Redemption of comic book movies. Yeah. Although maybe it is.
Who knows? Yeah, I would say, who knows? Maybe I am going to come out going, this is the greatest comic book movie ever. Or maybe I'll come out and say, guys, I'll get on my show to start the review. Guys, I'm sorry I hated this movie. Stop the stream, leave the country for a couple of days, and go hang out at my parents' place so people can't find me. But I don't know. We'll have to wait and see, I suppose. All right, what's next?
Raven, thoughts and prayers go out to Doshi. Stay strong.
Absolutely, Doshi. And thank you, Ray, for sending that in. You know the whole community's behind you there as well. All right, what's next?
Phoenix Rising. Can we see that statue behind you with the Canadian flag?
Oh, this. Hold on a second. Let me see if I can reach it with my...
I was looking, where is it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I showed this off once before. I love this.
This is the greatest thing ever, by the way.
There's a viewer in Mexico who put together this John Campea figure. Let me see if I can get it close to the camera.
It's so good.
This John Campea figure. Hold on a second.
Yes.
Come on, autofocus, kick in. There it goes. with my trademark rebellion hat, my Bring on the Filthy shirt. We got Felipe the sentient dancing microphone beside it, my Canadian flag, and get this lightsaber. It's got 4 different colors of lightsabers. It's battery powered. The lightsabers lights up and the whole kind of stuff. And he put this together on his assembly line, sent this off to me. I absolutely love this thing. I absolutely love this. I can't get enough of this thing. I enjoy it so much. And I talked to him about making me more. And yeah, he just put that together, sent it to me. I guess this is what he does for a living. And I just loved it. So thank you for asking about that, Phoenix. I appreciate that, man. He did do a great job, though, right?
It's fantastic.
I mean, he did such a good job on that. All right, what's next?
Yeah, it's awesome. Jared's reviews. Stay strong, Doshi. Prayers up.
Thanks for sharing that, Jared. I appreciate that. I'm sure everybody else does too. All right, what's next?
Very kind. Edgar Navarro almost had Endgame spoiled for me, but like Drax, my reflexes are too quick.
Yeah, I've had a couple of times too where like some, what's the, oh no, I know what that is, and you're able to get out of there. It's been this weird dodging game. We had to play dodgeball for the past couple of weeks, Rob. We've had to play this game of online dodgeball. But tonight, my game ends. My watch comes to an end tonight. Tomorrow, your watch comes to an end. This week, that watch comes to an end for all of us. So it's going to be nice to get past that at last. All right, what's next?
Chris Hamilton, I got my Endgame ticket Saturday via Fandango for local AMC. The funny thing is, all seats were blue. They must have just been released, right? Lucky.
Yeah, it might have been a brand new screening. But I was sharing this the other day, Rob. I was totally shocked just the other day because my Thursday screening is at 10 p.m. And I just thought, and I'm going with a bunch of people, and I just thought for like, I wonder, like, what if I could slip over there for a 6 p.m. showing? Oh, there's no tickets left. I was surprised. There are still some singles. There are still a couple of single empty seats for the first couple of showings. I'm like, I didn't buy one, but I was really tempted to pick one up. I'm sure they'll be filled up by the time the screening actually happens, though. All right, what's next?
Murray Reich. When they say Disney Plus getting rid of offensive material, do they also mean Jar Jar Binks, special editions, etc.?
Oh, God, wouldn't that be something?
I'd pay good money to see that.
Well said, Murray. Well said. I appreciate that. All right, what's next?
New Ulysses Smith III. Hey, John, if my prediction I told you the other day comes true about Captain America and certain things that he will do, is it okay if you let me know tomorrow's show?
No. No. So for those of you, I think I know which one New Ulysses is talking about. The idea that Captain America at the end of Endgame will pull a Batman at the end of The Dark Knight Rises, where he lets everybody think he's dead, but he actually retires off with him and Sharon Carter or something like that. And that's perfect. That takes Chris Evans out of the MCU and leaves the door open for when they're going to bring him back, whenever that will be. But no, I am not going to come on or tell anybody what happens in the movie. There's no way I am telling anybody what happens in the movie. I'll tell you what I think about the movie. I'll tell you what I thought was strong or weak about it, but I am not telling anybody what happened to them. I'm not giving spoilers away to people. There's just no way. No way. Not at all. Even if that happens, I'm not going to let on to how it ends at all. All right, what's next?
Terrell Wise. Could Avengers Endgame be better than the first Avengers?
That movie we talked about with Adam Sandler and Jennifer Aniston, that could be better than the first Avengers. Every movie coming out could be better than The Godfather. Every movie coming out. It could.
Not The Godfather.
Sure. It could. Every movie coming out could be better than Shawshank Redemption. Every movie coming out could be better than The Dark Knight. Every movie coming out could be better than the first Avengers. Could it? Yeah, it could. Is it likely? I don't think it's likely, but it's always possible. It's always possible. Every movie coming out could be the best movie ever. Every movie coming out could be the worst movie ever. And I have look, my expectations for Endgame is that I'll like it as much as Infinity War, maybe a little bit more. I'm not expecting it to be as good as, the first Avengers. I'm not expecting it to be as good as Logan. I'm not expecting it to be as good as The Dark Knight. But I leave my expectations at the door when I see it. Could it? Yes. Likely? No, not likely. All right, let's move on. What's next?
Dropkick Aggie. Is 2019 potentially greatest year in pulp culture geek entertainment? Endgame, Pokemon live action, Game of Thrones finale, Rise of Skywalker, and way, way more.
It's possible, but I think at the end of the way I look at this, Robert, is at the end of the day, we got to get to the end of the year and see how these things turned out.
I agree.
Because I've gone from thinking Pokemon is going to be stupid to thinking Pokemon is going to be the greatest thing ever because of the trailers, to thinking, now I don't even think Pokemon's going to be all that good after they showed us that scene.
Right.
Which at CinemaCon, the full scene, I was like, this isn't funny. No, but I don't know.
Funny.
Yeah, you didn't think it was funny either?
No, I think if you knew a little bit more about that particular Pokemon that was in the scene, it might have been funnier. But I felt like I was losing something in the translation.
Yeah, so did I. And I was like, this isn't as cute as I thought it was. So, but, and look, maybe Endgame's a big disappointment. Maybe Lion King's a big disappointment. Maybe Star Wars Episode 9 is a big disappointment. I mean, right now, does it have the potential? Absolutely it does. But we're not going to be able to say one way or the other for sure until we get to the finish line of the year and then look back and say, okay, did all these things hit it out of the park? Does Game of Thrones start to suck in the last few episodes? I mean, we don't know. We're gonna have to get to the end game.
And also, these are all things that have been building over years.
Yeah,
they don't necessarily belong to this year. They've been earned over the course of, if in Thrones and Avengers case, a decade.
Yeah. All right, let's keep moving on here. We're already running a little bit over time, but hey, it's Endgame day. So let's go through more. We're gonna try to rifle through a bunch of these as quick as we can. What's up next?
Deadpool Chinese, happy Endgame of Throne Week. I feel like you're driving me to a court martial. First line ever said in the MCU. Could never imagine what we have now.
Was that the line in Iron Man? I feel like you're driving me to a court martial. Was that the first line?
Could be. I don't know if that's the first line. I don't remember.
I don't remember either, but it is crazy of where, when you think about that first Iron Man movie and thinking about where we are now, it is kind of nuts. All right,
if you think about how old you are, and how many
Yeah.
decades of life you've lived, the MCU now comprises a full decade. For a lot of our viewers, that's like a third of their lives.
Yeah. And look at where we are now. Okay, what's next?
New Ulysses. Also, I'm kind of sad because I have extra tickets to Endgame because people won't be able to make it, and I don't know anyone to take or give tickets to.
That's always frustrating because especially here's where it's frustrating to me. It's like sometimes when a big movie's coming out, I'll buy a bunch of tickets just because I know a lot of people who want to go.
Right.
And then somebody backs out like 2 or 3 days before it, and everybody else already has their plans for that night. It's now I've got these tickets to some big, highly anticipated movie. Now, I'm sure I won't have that problem with Avengers Endgame. But that is you ever do that, Rob? Like you buy a bunch of tickets for people and then they go, oh, now I can't go?
Yes. I have
super
done that
frustrating.
More than once. More than 4 times.
Super frustrating. Super frustrating, Ulysses. Oh, my God. All right, what's next?
Avenge the Chicken. You're in my prayers, Doshi.
I love seeing the way the film fan community rallies around that. Thank you so much for that, Avenge the Chicken. All right, what's next?
Ryan Loner. Hey, John, Ashley, Varys. I just
That's
found
Rob.
out. I just found out the kid from Road to Perdition is CW Superman. Mind blown.
Really? Is that the same kid?
I didn't know that.
I did not know. I'd have to look that up, but if that's true, that's another little golden nugget of movie trivia.
Yeah.
That's actually pretty cool. So where the Varys thing comes from, somebody said on the show the other day, they said, if you shave Rob's head,
Great.
he looks a little bit like Varys. It's like, well, actually, you know what? I see that a little bit. Varys is a handsome man and an important part to play.
I do have other equipment that's still around too. I just want to point that out.
That's important to know. You're no gray worm. You're no gray worm. Okay, last couple of questions. What's next?
Polk Quantum Realm jacket coming in on Wednesday. Can't wait.
Yeah, a lot of people are still getting theirs later this week. Ann and I are going to be wearing ours to the premiere tonight. We're going to be wearing those Avengers jackets that we have. We're going to wear them to the premiere. That's how you'll be able to point us out and figure out who's us when you're watching the live stream tonight. All right, what's next?
Aunt Banks, when you go to premieres, do they make you turn in your phone? Also, do you have to go through something to detect if you have recording devices?
Oh my God, yes. It's like airport security. So first thing is you walk through these metal detectors and they wand you and all this kind of stuff. Then once you get by that, then you get to this table where they have these like fabric pouches that block all cell phone signals. And then what they do is they take your phone and then they put your phone in one of these pouches and put a lock on it. And then they hand it back to you. And you keep your phone with you, but you can't get at it because this thing's locked and no cell phone signal can get in or out of it. And then when the movie's over, you go back to that table and they just like wipe it across the scanner and it unlocks the thing. They pull your phone out. So yeah, lots of security, lots of all that kind of stuff. So that's why I can only take pictures at these things when I'm outside of the premiere before going into the theater. Once I get in the theater, then the phone's locked up. All right, what's next?
New Ulysses Smith, I really hope people don't interrupt the movie a lot.
I got a feeling we're not going to... Look, I don't mind interruption if it's pure enthusiasm interruption. Like, yeah! Like, that. I go to these things for like a rock concert kind of atmosphere. But I just don't want... some theaters, Rob, get the guy in the back who thinks he's the funniest guy in the world and he wants to bless everybody with his jokes all through the movie. Yeah, don't be that guy. Don't be that guy because you're going to end up like Varys. Anyway. Okay, last couple ones really quick here.
Patrick Manis, how hard is it now to resist the Thanos hot toy?
God, probably not as hard as it's going to be after I see Endgame. After I come out, I'm probably going to be jumping on hot toy. Bye. I'm probably going to have to do that a lot. All right, what's next?
New Ulysses, how do fans go to the world premiere of a movie?
Generally speaking, you can't. I mean, these things have limited number of seats. They usually invite people involved with the movie, industry people, the company people, some other people. And it's by invite only. Now, sometimes I've been to a couple of premieres where like the final, I was actually at the premiere for the final Twilight movie. And there was about a 5,000 seat place that they did that in. And they saved like 500 tickets for fans that they gave away in special drawings and things like that. But the bottom line is there's nowhere you can go and buy a ticket for it. You have to be invited or you have to win a place to get in. And most premieres don't even have seats that you can win to get in. So it's a little, it's a little bit tricky on that level. All right, guys, that will do it for today's installment of the John Campea Show. Hey, listen, Friday totally got away from me and this weekend was packed and I didn't get around to doing the companion video for Friday's show. So what I'm going to be doing this afternoon is I'm going to take all these questions that we still had left over, Matsiff, Aaron H., Murray Reich, all the way down, everybody who sent in a live chat today. Don't worry, I'm going to take those, I'm going to combine them with Fridays, I'm going to do one big massive companion video today before I leave for Avengers Endgame. So all those questions that got sent in and the ones that got sent in on Friday are going to be answered in a companion video here this afternoon. Keep your eyes open. Again, guys, want to make sure, remind you all that there is going to be the live stream of the Avengers Endgame world premiere red carpet. Ann and I are going to be down there. First 5 people to see us get a screen capture and email it to me at john@thejohncampeashow.com. I'm going to pick one of you at random and I'm going to send out some John Campea Show swag. Although I know everybody would much rather get that Thanos toy we were all just talking about. So make sure you guys are keeping your eyes open for that. Don't forget, we'll be back again tomorrow for another episode of the John Campea Show with me, Rob, and Ashley. Make sure you come back and join us for that. Speaking of Rob, where can people find you online?
You can find me on Twitter at BurnettRM, find me on Instagram at RMBurnett, or find me on my own YouTube channel, The Burnettwork, and its companion website, theburnettwork.net.
And of course, Ashley Whalen, where can people find you?
You guys can find me at Twitter at AshAttack1, or my Instagram is Ashley Whalen, 2 Y's in my first name.
And you guys can simply follow me on social media, just at John Campea. That will do it for me, guys. Thank you so much for being here. My name is John Campea, and until our next show, and by the time you see me next, I'm going to have seen Endgame. Yay!